Welcome back to Investors Reality. Now, first of all, imagine an association between some of the world's most powerful nations, including some of the largest and most influential economies, all in one group, comprising low labor costs, favorable demographics, and abundant natural resources at a time of global geopolitical tensions. And now, in case you didn't already know, the United States of America is not in this group. In fact, neither is Germany, Japan, nor the UK. So let me introduce you to the BRICS. The BRICS is a political and economic organization between 5 member countries formed back in 2009. In fact, the term BRICS is actually an acronym for the participating nations of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The organization was originally known as BRIC, but since South Africa joined in 2010, and as a result gave the organization a presence on the African continent, that is why they added the S. But the question is, why do these nations get together, and what's the point of this international organization? Now, there are many different reasons that explain the desire for cooperation between the BRICS nations. And perhaps the most important, though, is that of influence. You see, almost all of the large international organizations worldwide have been created by Western economies and allow Western nations to exert their influence through backing each other in economic and diplomatic confrontations. So if you are a large emerging market that doesn't quite have the influence to sway the likes of the US or the EU, then one solution, one option is to team up with others. And that's how we ended up with the BRICS. The BRICS organization, therefore, is a platform in which member nations can come together to cooperate and design their own framework, one that isn't heavily influenced by the Western powers. So perhaps now you're wondering why you should care about some recently formed international organization that comprises only some of the most popular nations on the planet. Well, I want to tell you why in this video. In case this brings you any kind of value, and do me a favor, hit the like and subscribe to the channel. My name is Nico Arachi, and I am the host of Investors Reality. Now, the BRICS nations, they combined, or combination of them, is huge. In fact, if they were their own country, their own state, their own nation, they would by far be the most populated nation on the planet. So with almost 3.2 billion people living in these 5 countries, which actually equals to 41% of the world's population. And just as an example, we look at NATO, which is an alliance of 30 member states, and in addition to obviously the United States and Canada on the American continent, we got many European states as well. However, they count only about 949 million people altogether. So regarding the BRICS, that's more than 3 times the population of NATO, and together its economy in 2021 overtook the United States and is massively ahead of the EU with a staggering $20.5 trillion. Combined, the BRICS bloc has a GDP of over $24.4 trillion in 2021. I guess you could say that all numbers surrounding the BRICS are very impressive by nature, and many they have predicted that the BRICS nations will overtake largest Western nations in the upcoming decades. Now, not only economically, obviously, but also, maybe more importantly, politically. Therefore, being able to shape global governance as the 21st century progresses is of great importance. So the question you might ask yourself is, what have the BRICS countries achieved so far, and where can the impact be felt? Ever since its first formal summit as a group of 5 nations in April 2011, the BRICS nations have shown that they have a will to cooperate on a variety of issues, ranging from the need for a new global reserve currency, not dominated by the same people who belong to the IMF and the World Bank, but establishing a new global financial system, perhaps a monetary system to rival the current worthless fiat-based fractional reserve system. And as of 2014, a new global financial institution was in fact established, which is named the New Development Bank, or NDB. And that was the start. It was set up in order to provide alternative loan mechanisms to the IMF and the World Bank structures, which the current BRIC members felt had become too US-centric. So this young bank's primary objective is to fund infrastructure projects, and with an initial starting capital of $50 billion, it's not a small-scale institution. It is headquartered in Shanghai, China, and the new development bank has already invested, and this was according to March 2019, in more than 30 projects with loans totaling more than $8 billion. And in addition to the NDB, the BRICS have also set up the BRICS Contingent Reserve Arrangement, or CRA, which is a framework intended to protect against global liquidity pressures. So the idea being that many emerging economies go through periods of instability as they experience rapid economic liberalization, and the CRA offers a stable hand to protect against such market fertility by offering liquidity and precautionary instruments. A little bit like what the World Bank and the IMF are there to do, but let's hope the CRA is going to do it better. Now let's talk about a reserve currency, because the possibility and prospects of setting up a common single currency based on a basket of currencies of the 5 nation blocs has also been discussed. In fact, during the 14th BRICS summit, which was held in June 2022, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced that the BRICS plan to issue a new global reserve currency, and that they are in fact also ready to openly work with all fair partners that have an interest. So all things considered, and given the relatively short lifespan of the BRICS group, the achievements that the 5 nations have made so far are quite impressive, to say the least. So much so, in fact, that other nations have expressed interest in joining the group, with obviously South Africa being the latest member, formally joining the group in 2010. So when are we going to see more BRICS? Well, the Russian media, they recently announced that Argentina was planning on becoming a BRICS member state. It was also revealed that Iran has officially applied for memberships, and others such as Saudi Arabia and Turkey are likewise reportedly willing to join the organization. But the question you might find in the media is, what about the next 11? The next 11 are the next growth countries after the BRICS. And the next 11 countries were selected based on criteria such as economic growth, political stability, and population growth, and include South Korea, Mexico, Turkey, Indonesia, Iran, Pakistan, Nigeria, the Philippines, Egypt, Bangladesh, and Vietnam. New members, in theory, imply new economic resources that can be mobilized and greater strength in numbers. The expansion of the group also provides greater legitimacy and reinforces the sense that the club, in contrast to the European Union, is really worth joining. Now, some economists or some analysts, they do confuse with BRICS being the counterparty to NATO, but nothing could be further from the truth. BRICS is simply put an economic and political association striving to be a counterpart to the Western economic influence. The BRICS can be viewed as a counterparty to the G7, and ultimately, with the new 11 members, it could be viewed as a counterparty to the G20. Now, when it comes to military, there's a whole other organization that one should have a look at or fear. So the right question is G7 versus BRICS, G20 versus the BRICS, and NATO versus the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which also consists of China, India, and Russia. In case this video gave you any kind of value, do me a favor, hit like, smash, subscribe. Please also watch our other videos, including Shanghai Cooperation Organization versus NATO. My name is Nico Arachi, and I'm the host of Investors Reality.